Okay, this is a 10-minute gait workout, so a gait circuit that I came up with, and this is for real beginners, so anyone can do this. There's not really too much in the way of heavy weight involved, so anyone can give this a go. So time 45 seconds, and then you get 15 seconds rest, and you can just do a couple of rounds of this as well to turn it into a 20-minute workout. You can make this as hard as you like, so obviously the faster you do it, the harder it will be. But let me go through some of the exercises with you. So we're going to start with side step and balance. So we're going to work on your lateral movement for this exercise, and there is some rotation in the upper body, as you can see. With all these exercises, you should be trying to maintain a good neutral spine throughout and symmetry from the left and right sides. You can see the knees and generally tracking over the toes here for both on both feet. Now, for the first half of this exercise, I was stepping with more force to the left side, and for the second half, I'm stepping with a little bit more force to the right side. Okay, next exercise coming up. This one is the one leg balance. It's pretty easy, obviously. And again, the only thing to really think about here is, as you can see, I've got pretty terrible balance, but trying my best. The best thing to do here is to make sure that you've got that good postural position in your upper body, neutral spine, and with a slight bend in that knee. Try not to go too far. Try not to go forward on that knee as well when you're holding the pose. So the knee should basically sit in line with your hips. That's on the straighter leg. Okay, next up then is the upper torso rotation. So this is to practice thoracic rotation. The key thing to look at here is that I'm not just turning my body without any thought going on here. So if you look at my hips and my knees here, there shouldn't be much movement there. So I shouldn't be turning at the hips too much. All this rotation is coming from the upper body. So again, you need to find that good neutral spine position, as I've shown in other videos. You might find that you haven't got a particularly good range here in your upper torso without moving your hips. So just go as far as you can in each direction before those hips start getting involved. Remember to breathe nice and deeply as you're doing this exercise. Okay, this is the front line drive. So this particular exercise mimics the drive in a sprinting stride. So that's what we're coming up with here. This exercise also has a balance element to it. There's quite a lot of balancing in these circuits. This helps with core control, and it's kind of a natural way of exercising your deep core muscles rather than just doing sit-ups all the time. So I grab a couple of weights for this next exercise. So I'm going to do the pendulum squat here. I was just testing there by holding my hands up so I didn't hit the ceiling. But the pendulum squat is basically an exercise for your back line of muscle and fascia, so your glutes, your lower back, your hamstrings, and your calves. Important here is to swing the weight rather than lift the weight, if that makes any sense. So with all these exercises that require dumbbells, I'm going to get you starting like super light here. So 1 or 2 kilos, and that's all you need. The idea is to practice the movement. Again, you see in the video, I've got a neutral spine throughout the movement, and that's really important to maintain that neutral spine. And that swing should feel fairly effortless. You shouldn't feel it in your arms at all. It should be coming mainly from the core muscles and the drive off your glutes. Okay, next one, we're going to get a little bit more complicated for this one. We're going to do like a half lunge. So this is half in 2 respects. So I'm not going to go all the way down in the lunge. So I'm just bending a little bit in the knee and then coming back up. And also it's only a step forward, so it's not a big lunge forward. Then we're going to kind of drop the dumbbell and and you can do it as a bit of a swing here, and then pull it up to the other side, so you can see that rotation going on in the upper body. And the idea here is to start feeling a bit of elasticity. So as we come down, we're getting that stretch across the shoulders and the back, and then that stretch is actually more of a load with the weight, and then it's kind of primed with that elastic potential energy to snap back. And so that's the idea of that exercise. Next up is just quite a simple exercise. This one was just doing a slight hinge at the hips, and again just practicing that swinging motion. Again, this is only 2 kilos that I've got here, so it's nice and easy, but we should try and get that swing occurring through the hips, the core and the glutes rather than the arms. I know that sounds kind of strange, but we want to make this nice, fluid, swinging movement. The ability to swing is quite important in functional movement. When your arms and legs move, they move in like this parabolic motion, in this swinging motion. So getting some control of swinging motions is a really good thing for functional movement. Okay, again, this one might be a little bit difficult to see on the video, but what I'm doing here is breathing really deeply through the chest. So if you look carefully, as you see, my rib cage lowers there, and then I'm going to raise the rib cage, but I'm raising the rib cage by breathing through the chest, and that raises my shoulders up. This is quite an important concept to get for functional movement. Now, there's some that will say that you need to breathe deeply through your stomach, but not while you're in motion, in movement. We want to be elevating the rib cage. That makes our posture much more stable, and we can engage core muscles a lot better in movement. So this is literally just practicing breathing up and down. You may, in fact, feel some restrictions here, and it might actually feel quite difficult to breathe like that, but see how you go. Okay, next up we're going to go 3D lunge. If you look at where my feet are landing here, they're kind of going out at about 45 degrees to the side, so they're going slightly forward and also to the side as well. So we do 3D lunge, and I'm also dropping one of the arms here to get that thoracic rotation at the same time. You notice how I'm not overstriding again with this. And again, I'm trying to use that arm drop to create that kind of elasticity, that stretch in my upper back. And at the same time, the stretch in the upper back and the glutes as my foot lands will happen at the same time, or I'll get that kind of elastic rebound to go backwards. You might not feel this to begin with, but this is how we get into training for a little more elasticity. Okay, final exercise of the 10 then. Again, this is the most complicated of the lot. So we've got that half lunge again, dropping the weight, and this time we're going to come through and punch as we swing it back up. So we're using that momentum to come through and punch. So we've got that thoracic rotation. We create the load and the stretch on the muscle, primed for a kind of elastic recoil, and then contract back. So this elastic recoil is really, really important, again, for functional movement. Lots of people are very flexible, but as people age, they don't only lose flexibility, they lose elasticity, and that is much more important. We need to get that elasticity back, and that's the idea with some of these exercises.